The federal government has prohibited individuals under the age of 18 from taking part in the National Examinations Council and West African Examination Council exams, according to the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, who disclosed this in an interview. Noted that this was not a new policy and that the age limit for candidates seating for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination administered by the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board remains set at 18 years. Although groups like the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria and University SANU have described the policy as limiting, backward and capable of shortchanging students and their parents, the federal government is still maintaining its stance. Well, joining us for this conversation via Zoom is the convener, Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative, Dr. Oludare Marindoti. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
There's been a huge debate about this policy or this matter when the Minister of Education spoke about it. Let's begin with understanding which side of the divide you belong to.
It is going to be very easy by the time I tell you my story, my own personal story. By the time I took my JAMB, August 15, 2004, I was 14 years and 9 months. I said April 15. And by the time I was writing, I started WAEC, I was 14 years, 11 months. My 15th birthday was spent in the WAEC exam hall. So, you know, when I heard this program, I was shocked. And not only did I just write this exam, I was the joint best student in my secondary school, and I had the best JAMB result. I got into medicine in Obafemi Awolowo University on merit. So I don't think my age was that much of a problem for me. I would even say, you know, one of the members of the administration was my senior prefect, Olugunmi Tunji-Ojo. By the time he was graduating in 1999, he was a 17-year-old under the 18 years, you know. So this, policy seems out of kilter with any form of rational reality. So, but, you know, in a quest to gain some clarity as to, you know, the thinking that might have led up to this, I did a little bit of research about the Minister of Education, and I realized that he graduated in 1983, you know, which meant he graduated university from the Department of Law as a 29-year-old man. So if you extrapolate that, that would mean he probably got into university at age of 24. So, you know, if someone, by the time I graduated medical school, I was still 23, younger than the age that the minister graduated. So we can understand why maybe myself and this honorable minister have a divergent view about it. But, you know, when we look at the idea of just banning people based on age, that seems so simple. And it does not.
The issue here for the minister is the matter of curbing sharp practices, exam malpractices. We have seen where parents go with their children to certain centers, some tagged special, just to see their children are supported, so to speak, to write this examination. And so he is saying most of these children are not mature. Some of them are not even emotionally mature to handle these things. And so parents are pushing them, forcing them to do these things as against they being ready to handle it.
Well, if the minister is trying to stop sharp practices, he definitely started from the wrong place. Because if we look at it logically, between a 24-year-old man trying to write WAEC and a 15-year-old boy or a 14-year-old boy about to be 15, who will be more desperate, who has more time to retake it? So when you talk about people who are going to be trying to be more in terms of proportion, anybody can be in that bracket, definitely. But the proportion will show that the desperation will be more on the side of the elderly people. So if you want to address a crime, it is also very simple, just trying to ban, instead of going to look and investigate properly these miracle centers and stop them and ensure that there are no sharp practices in the process of promoting children through the schools. When I made my move from primary 4 to JS1, I was the best student in my primary school. When I got to JS1, I immediately became the best student in my class and progressed like that. If a child has the intellectual ability to go at a pace faster than his peers, why stop him? Has he thought about the negative repercussion that this will have on a child who currently right now is in maybe SS1, but will be less than 18 in 2 years' time? Now they will have to wait for 2 years. The psychological implication. The girls may get pregnant and become teenage moms and probably fail to even finish the WAEC. The boys may take to internet fraud or other form of vices, kidnapping, banditry. A lot of it is rife in our environment right now and not progress. We have a person who should be coming up with policies to ensure that our children learn to help themselves, but seems to be coming up with policies to ensure our children have learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is a psychological concept that happens to, let me say, like a striker who has not scored goal for a very long period of time and just fails to take a shot because he has lost confidence in his own abilities. When you stop a child, it has a psychological, impact on him. That is why the people who are training these children, who have experiences with them, are against it. It does not make sense. And also, if you look at it from the political point of view, also, the education is on the concurrent list. So the federal government has no business making laws for the state on their education policies. The states are the ones funding these schools, a lot of the public schools. So, this is one of the reasons why I'm surprised that the governors have not really taken this up, because this is also following the trend of some form of federal overreach, like they did with those local government thing and all. Because these things, the minister, who is an unelected official, has no constitutional right to tell the governor of any state when children in the state are allowed to take exams. And let's even assume that they want to do this policy with good intentions at heart. They should start from the primary school. We have a system of education 6334. So try to advise parents to wait till their children are 5 years old before they start primary 1. And then if a child shows exceptional abilities, I was the youngest in my class. Most of my peers were at least 2 years older than I was. And I was the most mature, emotionally and intellectually. My friends, when they mess up, they beg people not to let me know. You cannot judge a child solely based on age. It is so simple. But I don't really think the minister, like you said, had any bad intention. I think the minister is a good man. He just had a bad experience. I think he has a good intention. He just has a bad idea. And that is why my organization has decided that we are going to look at if they are serious with this, and we're going to take them to court, because they do not. WAEC is even a private.
Right, Dr. Marindosi, the thing, just like you said, the minister is actually saying is out of good intention and based on the Nigerian education system. Because if you look at the 6334, 6 years primary, 3 years junior secondary, 3 years senior secondary, at least 4 years in tertiary or equivalent. That's the Nigerian education standard. And if you recall that, I don't know whether it's still fashionable, but some schools will always, because we have some, students, some children who are prodigies, who are prodigious when it comes to education. Some of them were given or are still giving double promotion and then skipping the next level in their education ladder. And that might, one way or the other, affect them. So in all of this, I don't know whether you got double promotion. That was why you were able to to sit exam at the age of 15 or 14 or thereabout that you mentioned. So, but if you look at all of these, how it has impacted negatively on some others, and some people who are into age falsification, just for them to be able to sit exams, do you not see it, the other way around? We are not denying the fact that they are prodigies. They are, but they're obviously, we have it affecting some others who are supposed to, prosper when it comes to educational ladder.
Well, yes, but that is not a reason to affect negatively the lives of a few people. Based on 6334, majority will not keep their children at home until the age of 6. By 5, you are supposed to have started school. So anybody that goes to school from 5 years old, if you do the math, will end up graduating about the age of 17, which is like standard all over the world. So if you want to put a yardstick at 18, so is it 18 in June or February or September? So what about a child who will be 18 maybe in October, but WAEC is May, June? You tell them to wait till November. These things have effects on even the child's ability to pass that exam in future, because we know the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So what are the things that these people are going to be doing? The minister's experience is different from my experience. It's different from the experience of majority in the South. So this is one of the reasons why everybody has been talking about the restructuring, because if we have a better structure, the communities, it takes a village to raise a child. The community know their standard. They set their standard. They educate, they fund their schools, they train their children at their pace. We have people who homeschool their children, and their children can know all these things and go and write WAEC. People write WAEC from SS1, SS2 just for practice before they get to SS3. We had the situation during the election where people were saying, what secondary school did the president go? And we're like, anybody can sit at home and write WAEC. Why would you ban someone from writing WAEC just because they are not up to an age? WAEC is not a rite of passage. You also have to pass that WAEC. So if there are sharp practices, the minister is trying to be lazy, banning the young ones who have a lower propensity to seek fraudulent ways of passing an exam, relative to the older ones who are in their 20s, who are feeling like they are way behind, who are more desperate, who are going to have the wherewithal and the intention, the motivation to want to engage in sharp practices. So we should not try to, prevaricate the situation. If we want to stop sharp practices, which no one can deny happens, let us face the music. Let us go and investigate, do the hard work, prosecute people that we find, and, set an example so that nobody does it again. But it is not that you will affect the lives of a few people.
Right.
By the time the environment is suffering the repercussion of this, the minister, who is the Secretary General, will be long gone, and it is people in our generation that will be facing this teeming population of youth who would have been deprived opportunity to progress academically.
Right. We'll look at the repercussion on the one hand of this policy from your perspective, but then earlier on you mentioned that you are taking them to court. Who exactly, and what is the matter that you are taking to court?
The federal government, because they are the ones under the federal government, the Ministry of Education, but definitely is the proxy of the federal government over this policy, because first off, the education is in the purview of the states, so it's on the concurrent list. So they do not have I believe, they do not have the power, and we've been shopping lawyers. And then also we have SRG, we have a lot of members who have children who are in secondary school right now, who are going to be adversely affected by this. Their education is not being funded by the government. If a child has done what is necessary, there is no need why they should destroy that child's life. When we look at this thing, it is something that I feel like these policies, people make these policies without thinking deep most of the times. And when we start feeling the repercussion, they might have even forgotten. The people that made the policies might have even been long gone. And a case in point is the issue with the shortage of doctors in Nigeria right now. When I was in part 3, they made a concerted effort to reduce the amount of not just doctors, but medical professionals, nurses, physiotherapists, pharmacists, everybody that were being admitted into universities in 2007. It started from the 2008 set. Now, 15 years we've been slow walking this ticking time bomb. Now we have a shortage of doctors. Hospitals cannot open all their wards. Private hospitals don't have doctors to staff their clinics. And we are just now starting to admit people, taking us another 15 years to even climb back out of it. And people make these policies because no one challenged them back then, even as a young 18-year-old in 2007, because what they told us was they were making half-baked doctor. I had the presence of mind to ask a question that if a cake was half-baked, do you blame the cake or you blame the baker? If the education system is faulty, if they are miracle center, that means that the Ministry of Education in each of the states are not doing their due diligence to, root out the bad eggs and ensure that the sanity of the system is maintained. And that is what they should do. Not to go and create a form of distraction just so that they don't do their due diligence. It is a lot more difficult to investigate and get evidences that you can take to court and prosecute parents who are pushing their children, by unholy means, and prosecute schools who allow their children, their pupils or students to get, who connive with the students who are involved in these malpractices. Not for you to select a small need, because majority of people will graduate around 17, not 18. That is the reality in Nigeria. But the federal government cannot just come with a ban. It is so autocratic. It is antithetical to the principles of democracy, and people should not be toying with the future of other people's children. This is something that is so personal and so passionate to parents in Nigeria.
So how far are you and your organization willing to go with this matter?
It is not like, I won't lie, it's not like I have utmost faith in the Nigerian legal system. I just believe that if a system does not work, you have to work that system until it starts to work. The last time I took CBN to court, we asked the judge to interpret the CBN Act, just a clear interpretation, and the judge declined that interpretation. So, but we will still keep on going, because that is the only thing we can do. You cannot just come up. It is, the good policies of the administration, like the unification of exchanges and all, they have not even found a way to succinctly explain it to Nigerians so that they can come on board. They are now coming up with multiple unpopular, policies like changing of national anthem without, giving any credence or any regard for the demographic distribution of Nigeria. The last time they sang the old national anthem in 1978 was the 80% of Nigerians were not yet born. And you are imposing a new anthem on them, and you think you are making sense. They are coming up with this policy to just ban people arbitrarily. People that are already from primary 1 up until SS3. You are going to affect like about a 12-year generation of people.
So in your summation, you're saying this policy is not progressive.
It is not progressive at all, and it is so funny that we have a group of politicians which I still support, who call themselves progressive but always trying to go back. That is the definition of oxymoron, a progressive in reverse. This does not make any sense. We can advise parents. Don't push your don't push your children. You are doing much damage to your children. I went to medical school. I graduated in record time. I was a doctor. I saved lives for years. The fact that if my parents pushed me beyond my capacity or my capability, I would have failed along the line. So if you took your child to a miracle center, your child does not know what the paper is telling the world that he or she knows. Who are you harming in the long run? Is it not your child? So we can educate parents that you are doing more harm than good for your child. We have the case of some Hollywood celebrities in the United States where one of them went to lie that her daughter was playing basketball so she can get a scholarship. The woman was prosecuted. She went to jail for 1 year. These are things that the government should do. And the most important thing is persuasion. Advise people. Let them know that if your child is smart, fine. The youngest graduate in the United States was a 10-year-old. In the UK was 12. In China was 10. If there are prodigies who can get a university degree at whatever age, let them go. If you took your 5-year-old child to go and likewise, it will just fail them.
Dr. Maridosi, let us try to do a little comparison with some of these developed economies. Based on the research here, talking about the education system, when children are expected to start, their first education for key stage 1 between 5 and 11 years of age, and then age of tertiary education is expected to start between from ages of 18. and above, typically divided into undergraduate degrees 3 to 4 years, postgraduate degrees 1 to 2 years. And then China, the Gaokao system is expected to start at also age of 18 and above. That's higher education. And then Finland, which is also known as a leader in education, actually focuses on equity and inclusivity. Their own education system for higher education starts 19 and above. And then, you know, that we can go on and on. So are you not seeing that even though there is some sort of, you know, leeway or laxity for those who are prodigy or the prodigies, Nigeria is also in line or in tune with what is global standard?
Yes, that is what our 6334 gives us. So by this time your child is doing 6334, starting at age of 5 plus 12, that will put you at about 17 going on 18, which is normal, which is what happens with majority of people. There are only a few people that will fall into the line of people that get through this academic, what's it called, requirements faster. They are, I mean, like even in places like the advanced countries that you are talking about, like in the United States, they give children advanced classes, whereby if the child is smart enough, they'll start taking college classes from their secondary school, and this will count towards their college credits when they go into university. So how are we saying we want to ban? In all these countries that you have said, that is just normal progression, because when you look at the bell curve, majority of the population will fall within the norm. It's only a few people that will be slower or faster. So those few people in those countries, there are no laws banning them. Nigeria is at par with that same, you know, arrangement, but you cannot just come and ban. That is if it is an abuse of power, an abuse of authority. And the minister needs to learn. He needs to expect resistance until he respects existence. There are people in the secondary schools right now who are going to be negatively impacted, and the impact might not be remediable. If he wants to start this policy in any way, emphasize on starting it from the primary school. Focus on the Nigerian out-of-school children. Focus on the adult illiterates in Nigeria, who you can create a conversion form of education for them so that they can learn to function and be more productive. Don't create unnecessary problems that we will now have to be drinking the garri in 5, 10, 20 years' time. We need smart people. Like I gave an example, Olukunmi Ojo still remains the best performing minister in this administration. He graduated as a 17-year-old. If he had been delayed for 1 year, maybe he would not have even passed WAEC. Maybe his life trajectory will not lead him to where he is right now, where he's making all of that.
Dr. Marindoti, do you not think that we essentially focus on how many years people focus, spend in school, rather than the relevance of the curriculum that we actually use? Well, some primary schools have actually adopted, Montessori. Others are using different pattern. China, for instance, they focus largely on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, etc. So, do you not think about the curriculum? Should we not talk more about the curriculum? I saw a video yesterday of some Chinese children, maybe between the ages of 5, sewing cloth. Some were baking, some were doing a lot of hands-on. Should we not talk about this rather than looking at the years they spend in school?
Thank you, and God bless you, Brian, for bringing up that point. That is what we need to do. I remember I have a knack for wanting to do things with my hands. So when I was doing Intro Tech in GSS3, I wanted to really learn woodwork and all. We went to the woodwork lab, but there were no woods. And that is the reality of a lot of Nigerians, students. Majority of countries don't have university graduates. Their education, their secondary school education is just so comprehensive that by the time they are graduating, they are able to function in the society. So why are we not focusing on raising children to be functional adults as opposed to raising them to pass WAEC and JAMB? Majority, look at the numbers. According to Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, less than 28% of Nigerians go through a post-secondary school education, less than 30%. So majority are going to stop at that level. So why are we not focusing? Why is the minister's attention not on focusing on the curriculum, like you said, so that we can have people that will come out and be engineers, be good bricklayers, be good carpenters, be good seamstresses, learn makeup, learn, drawing and all those things, so that even while you are in school, if you choose to go, you have a trade that you can use to train yourself while you are in school. Why are we not looking at that? Why are we not looking at our university curriculum that gives us a bunch of redundant graduates? My cousin was telling me about the fact that they're doing engineering drawing with pencil and ruler, something that you do with AutoCAD, that you even use AI to help you. Instead of training these children to be able to, function in the world of today, we are trying to take them back to the time where you have to touch your opposite ear before you can start primary school.
Right.
Please let us have a conscience.
Right. Indeed, it's a holistic approach to addressing the matter of our education as it is. The system, the curriculum is what you have proposed at the end of the day for the minister to look into, even though you have a case you are taking to court. We must thank you, Dr. Oludare Marindoti, Convener, Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative, for your time on the program.
Thanks a lot for having me. Thanks, everybody at home.
Right.